Breaking news. Hackers are not standing still. After the supply chain attack injection on Linux's XC utils, the open source community discovered a wave of attacks that has been reaching much broader spread than we have ever thought. This time the target is GitHub itself. Cybercriminals have been smart again and manipulated lots of GitHub's features to trick developers in open source communities. Recent findings revealed that a threat actor was creating GitHub repositories with names and topics that are likely to be searched by lots of users. Said repositories are cleverly disguised as legitimate projects related to popular games, cheats, or toolings, making it difficult for users to distinguish them from their original counterpart. The attackers use lots of tricks to get good search engine optimization for the GitHub search feature and credibility to consistently rank up at the top of the GitHub search and place their malicious repositories at the top of the search results. For instance, they regularly update their repositories in an automated fashion using GitHub Actions, often simply changing just one file that's often be called log, and this makes the repository look for GitHub like it is highly maintained and pushes it on the top of the search results. Another way the attackers push the repositories to the top of the search results is by faking popularity using fake accounts, which are making commits and starring the repositories. Most often, the attackers conceal their malicious code as obfuscated code way down hidden in project files for Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code. This in particular is really dangerous because these project files will automatically execute when you open the repository in your Visual Studio Code or Visual Studio IDE. And let's be real here, no one really looks into these files because that's the most boring thing you could look at. And that makes it the perfect hiding place for malicious code. That is, hopefully, until today. So how does it work? You clone the repository to your local machine. Open it in, let's say, Visual Studio Code. The pre-built malicious code will be executed and creates a temporary directory, decodes the obfuscated code into VB scripts, executes it and cleans up everything afterwards. And to make this as silent as possible, it crawls the content depending on the country that the machine is located at to speed up the process. And it swallows errors and exceptions to be as silently as possible while executing it. So why do virus scanners not detect these files that are downloaded from the internet via an executable from your machine? Good question. The contents that are downloaded are artificially increased in size by padding zeros at the front of the binary to make virus scanners pass it through.
I've never met this man in my life.
Because in general, the limit for those files to be scanned from virus programs is at around 32 megabytes or something like that. Ultimately, the executables create persistence on Windows machines even by generating a shortcut to an executable file and setting up a daily scheduled job that runs at 4 AM every day without user confirmation.
Oh yeah, wake up, yeah. Oh yeah, wake up, yeah.
And is hidden by a task that is named Feedback API vs Services Client. One interesting thing to point out is that the script is actively checking if the machine of the user is located in Russia or not. At this point, I guess we are not sure if it is to skip or target Russia. The use of malicious GitHub repositories is an ongoing attack vector in the last years and forms a trend that threatens the open source community and supply chain. By exploiting GitHub's search functionality and manipulating repository properties, attackers can lure unsuspecting users to download and execute malicious code on their machine. To prevent falling victim for these and similar attacks, it is highly recommended to have an eye on the commit history of a repository. Like, is it a young repository with extraordinary many commits, and what are those commits in general doing? Is it always some spammy commit on a readme or a log file? That could be a problem for you. And the next step is take a look at the stargazers of the repository, that is the people that have started the repository. Do most of these stargazers have an account created at the same time? That could be a problem for you too. By being aware of these red flags, you can better protect yourself from inadvertently downloading and executing malware when you thought it is just a wholesome open source repository on GitHub.
I'm in danger!
In the aftermath of the XC utils exploit on Linux and the current trend in the last year to have malicious repositories on GitHub, developers should be a little bit more responsible and look for themselves when they are starting to integrating open source projects into their applications. So stay woke, y'all. Attackers creeping. Make sure to like, share and subscribe for more news and stories of our tech world. And I think if you stayed this long, you will like this video too. Bye.